Have you ever found yourself asking, just why is OBA the way he is? Why does he think the way he does? Why does he say the things he does? Why does he feel the way he does? Well, good news, this video here is going to break it down. Hello once again, everyone. Original Bloodies here. Completely way random different video than I've ever done before. So, I got the idea to do this because earlier today I did this personality test. If you want to do it yourself, you can just go to 16personalities.com. But either way, the reason I did this was, without going into too much detail, there's a course that I'm doing right now, and this was part of it. So it kind of breaks down, like you answer some questions and then it spits out, oh, you're this personality. And then you can read through it and see, does this seem accurate to you, so forth, so on. You'd be like, this seems like me, this doesn't. And then, if you don't feel it's accurate, then you try the test again and you have to answer it absolutely brutally honest to get the best result. But anyway, so my personality. Now, I don't know how you pronounce this. It's logician or logician, something like that. I don't know. And first of all, I'm going to try and keep this video as short as possible because, like, I could talk for a half an hour or more about this, and this is not even, like, diving, super deep into it. It's just literally reading the basic information about it. And I am tired as fuck right now, so if I sound tired at some points in the video, then that's why, because I am tired. But I wanted to do this video just to kind of, peel back the layers, to kind of help people understand why I am the way I am. And when we go through some of these things, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's John, right to a fucking T, But either way, so let's get into this. So they call it INTP, which is short for something. I'm just gonna refer to it as the logician, or if I'm reading this, I'll just say like, like these type of personalities, something like that. So these type of personality types are fairly rare, making up only 3% of the population. Right there, that's adding to the whole thing where I'm, I don't want to dig my own grave here with the whole like, I'm a god, I'm superior, blah 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 thing I've said before, but it adds more, you know, evidence to the fact that there ain't a hell of a lot of people quite like me, and that's why I am not part of, the average Joe Schmo type thing. Because apparently only 3% of the world are like me, at least personality-wise. So which is definitely a good thing for them, as there's nothing they'd be more unhappy about than being common. That is absolutely dead on. I don't know if I've said it in a video, but in real life, like with friends and everything, I've made it blatantly clear where I'm just like, why do people want me to do the generic things to be, do what every other fucking human has done throughout their life? That's fucking boring. Well, my personality is just not hardwired to be common, to want to be common, or to, simply put up with being common. I would be unhappy as being common. So let's continue here. These types pride themselves on their inventiveness and creativity, their unique perspective. Yeah, that's one way to describe me. And vigorous intellect. That's right, I have vigorous intellect. Usually known as the philosopher, which I remember reading before. Like, I remember I've said this before. I ain't religious, I ain't Christian or anything, but like in the Bible or something, there was, the name John comes from one of like God's prophets or philosophers or something or other like that. So, that kind of, adds right to me. But usually known as the philosopher, the architect, this one's random, or the dreamy professor. I have never considered myself to be a dreamy professor. But whatever. I won't complain. So these types of personalities have been responsible for many scientific discoveries throughout history. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm, into science per se, but, whatever. So, let's get into this. The unexamined, oh, and by the way, there's like all these different categories here. The unexamined life is not worth living. Exactly. So, these types are known for their brilliant theories and unrelenting logic. That's such a key phrase. Unrelenting logic. That's basically when I'm saying, like, when I'm so certain of something. Like when I did that Retro Studios could be making a Metroid video. To me, like I've always said, I do my research. The way I perceive things, the way I connect the dots. I'm in the 3%, remember? So that's why you're not always going to get my logic. But I'm always pushing for it because I'm always, well, I use logic, and apparently that's why the world's shit, because only 3% of the world use logic, and I'm part of that group, so yay me. But anyway, in fact, they are considered the most logically precise of all the personality types. There's the key words: logically precise. Meaning what? The way I would describe that is like how I've said before, I'm almost always right in the end. Why? I guess it's because, shocker, I use logic. Maybe that's why people don't, take me seriously, where they don't understand my way of thinking, where they're like, you're going to be fucking wrong, and then I end up being right, and I'm like, I told you so, is because the reason they don't connect with it, they don't understand, is because they don't use logic. They can't use logic. They don't understand logic or how to use it. So, I mean, I don't. That's not a personal bash. That's just their personality isn't the right one, or the one to benefit that. So these type of people love patterns, spotting differences. Fuck, I can't speak. Spotting discrepancies between statements. Um, could almost be described as a hobby, making it a bad idea to lie to one. So, yeah, don't lie to me because I can see through that shit. I mean, how many times have I done videos talking about where, Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo will say something and I'm like, you fucking liar, or Ubisoft, where it's just like, you're fucking lying. I see right through that shit. I need to grab a drink of water there. Um, where was I here? This makes it ironic that these types of people, their words should not always be taken, or should always be taken with a grain of salt. It's not that they are dishonest, but people with this personality type tend to share thoughts that are not fully developed, using others as a sounding board for ideas and theories in a debate against themselves rather than as an actual conversation partner. So basically, for us, our we theorize in our minds because we use logic, and we might not fully go from A to B to C. We might be only from A to B, and we're explaining that already. And, that's why there could be, quote, a missing piece of the puzzle where we haven't figured it out yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So that's kind of what that means. This may make them appear unreliable, but in reality, no one is more enthusiastic and capable of spotting a problem, drilling through the endless factors and details that encompass the issue, and developing a unique and viable solution that my type, or, well, yeah, I guess. And then it says, just don't expect us to give you punctual progress reports, because that's not our style. We're the type that there's a problem, we'll analyze it, we'll find some kind of solution, even if it's a unique and one that, people would be like, how the fuck did you even think of this? And then we would just be like, the nicest way to put it is just, sorry, man. I mean, your brain just, it doesn't work the same as ours. We don't think alike. We're able to think outside the box. You're stuck inside the box. Um, so, yeah, no one is more enthusiastic and capable of spotting a problem. How many times have I pointed out problems? And then I mean, I don't want to twist this and, make the video even longer, but like when I would talk about admins and Miiverse and it's bad, and sometimes you'd have the people showing up who are just like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Your Nintendo's perfectly fine. Blah 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 blah. My personality is fine tuned to spotting problems, and you're gonna tell me I'm wrong? Bitch, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, where were we here? People who share this personality type aren't interested in practical day-to-day activities and maintenance. Ding, ding, ding. That's me, 100 fucking percent. But when they find an environment where their creative genius, that's right, I have creative genius, and potential can be expressed, there is no limit to time, or to the time and energy that these people will put or expend in developing an insightful and unbiased solution. Now, the word unbiased, for me, that's maybe I would get rid of the un part and put biased, but at least for gaming related stuff. Maybe outside of gaming, I'd be unbiased. But either way, wisdom begins in wonder. They may appear to drift about in an unending daydream. So you might people like look at me and be like, "Man, he's daydreaming again," or just zoned out. But our thought process is unceasing. Our minds buzz with ideas from the moment we wake up. So this constant thinking can have the effect of making them look passive or pensive and detached, as they are often conducting full-fledged debates in their own heads. But really, these types are quite relaxed and friendly when they are with people they know or who share their interests. Now let's stop right here. Let's take that in. So I've had people judge me before thinking like, they've underestimated me. I've had a lot of people think like, I don't want to say they think I'm stupid, and then like, I prove them wrong, or I'll say something that catches them off guard. They'll be like, oh wow, I didn't know you knew that, or something like that. Because I always do my research. I may look pensive and detached, but our type of personalities, our brains never shut the fuck up. And that can also be a problem. I mean, pretty much every night it's hard for me to fall asleep because my mind, I'll be tired even if I'm physically absolutely drained. My brain never shuts the fuck up. It just goes and goes like the Energizer Bunny with a billion different ideas. Most of them have either nothing to do with anything, like just complete random nonsense, to, whatever. But either way, so people will think that we're, daydreaming and just distant and pensive and detached. But, and again, this is a shocking part, we are actually quite relaxed and friendly. A lot of people are just like, OBA, man, he's a fucking asshole. He's a fucking jerk, and I've even said before, I'm like, oh, I'm an arrogant asshole, or arrogant jerk, or whatever, the arrogant bastard, I think that's what I said. But that's that goes with the OBA, If you get to know me, like in real life, and we have interest in common, whether it's gaming, whether it's developing games, whether it's comics like Batman, I don't know, whatever, we're gonna get along just fucking fine. And I've said this before, if you're not a stupid person, because that's something that really pisses me off, then again, we're off to a great start. I don't go out of my way to make enemies. If someone has a problem with me, then there's a problem. But if you're open, like if you don't have a problem with me, I don't have a problem with you. It's that simple. Um, so, however, this can be replaced by overwhelming shyness. Yep, when our personality types are among unfamiliar faces. I think that's pretty much for everyone, though. It doesn't matter your personality. Most people, in general, are shy around new people, and then they open up, and get familiar with them. There is, the, rock stars where, oh, we go in front of, stadiums of 20,000 people and perform. They probably, are nervous and puke backstage before they go out there, but they do it anyway. But either way, where was I here? And friendly banter can quickly become combative if they believe their logical conclusions or theories are being criticized. There's something again that you can say, yep, that's definitely OBA. How do I say this? You would say, yeah, OBA has been combative, or like, kind of upset or aggressive or defensive or whatever you want to say when people, you know, just criticize his logical conclusion and theory. But then you got to think about it. You got to take a step back and be like, wait, he has a logical conclusion, meaning logically it makes sense. Why am I criticizing it? See my point? So, when these types of personalities are particularly excited, the conversation can border on incoherence as they try to explain the daisy chain of logical conclusions that lead to the formation of their latest idea. So, again, that could be me babbling on, trying to explain something and you just don't get it. Oftentimes, these types will opt to simply move on from a topic before it's even understood, or it's ever understood what they were trying to say. Yeah, that's kind of an issue, but rather than trying to lay things out in plain terms. Now, I'll be nice sometimes and I'll say it out in layman terms, but, in day-to-day life, talking to people, then I don't want to have to, if I have something, I don't want to feed my ego here, but worthwhile or intelligent or something to say, I don't want to have to dumb myself down to someone and then have them not get it still. So that would annoy me. The reverse can also be true when people explain their thought processes to my type of personalities in terms of subjectivity and feeling. Imagine an immensely complicated clockwork, taking in every fact and idea possible, processing them with a heavy dose of creative reasoning, and returning the most logically sound result available. This is how our minds work, and this type has little tolerance for an emotional monkey wrench jamming their machines. So basically, if we're working on something, if we got an idea, if we're theorizing, if we're trying to figure something out, if you're going to be a type who's either like useless or dumb, or the type that hit those types of people who are just like, what does that do, what does that do, what does that do, what does that do? If you're going to be something like that, get the fuck out. You're just being a pain in the ass, you're bothering us. Get out of the way. So let's move on here. Let those who would move the world first move themselves. So further, with thinking, as one of the governing traits, our personality types are unlikely to understand emotional complaints at all. I 100% agree. Well, mostly agree. And their friends won't find a bedrock or emotional support in them. That part is a little off. I can be... well, we'll get to that in a second. People with my personality type would much rather make a series of logical suggestions for how to resolve the underlying issue. So if you have a problem, like say, what's a good example here? You're like, if you're a girl and you're like, oh, my boyfriend is just abusive and he's beating the crap out of me, I would literally be like, well, you have solutions. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. But then you always get bitched at when you try and help someone. You're telling them solutions because they're the type of girl, well, I don't mean to, single out gender here, but for example, a girl could be like, I don't want you to tell me how to fix it. I just want you to listen. And then it's like, well, what the fuck? What, you don't want me to help you? Okay, well, that is, illogical. But anyway, a perspective that is not always welcomed by their feelings and their companions. So that's exactly what I just said, where I would offer a series of logical suggestions for how to fix your problem, but for them, that's not what they want. So this will likely extend to most social conventions and goals as well, like planning dinners and getting married. Yeah, I don't plan dinners and I don't plan to get married. As our personality types are far more concerned with originality and efficient results. Originality, original blood ace. Ha 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 ha. Happy coincidence. The one thing that really holds our personalities back, though, is their restless and pervasive fear of failure. That is especially, and I don't mean to put, generalize, but I feel it's a safe bet that especially in whether it's entertainment industry or the gaming industry, like game developers, we all have a fear of failure. Whether you want to you're like, oh, there's no way Nintendo does. Trust me, Miyamoto himself, if you thought way back when he was first making Donkey Kong from the arcade machines, if you thought he probably wasn't like, oh, I hope this fucking works, I really hope this fucking works, you're fucking an idiot, or you're a fucking idiot. Everyone in the gaming industry, and I'm not saying they're all the same, logician or whatever the word is, personalities, but I'm just saying our type is definitely heavily with the restless and pervasive fear of failure. That's it's like from MythBusters, a quote: "Fear or not fear? Oh no, that's failure. Yeah, failure is always an option." But anyway, I'm babbling on. Let's continue. So our types of personalities are so prone to reassessing our own thoughts and theories, worrying that they've missed some critical piece of the puzzle, that they can stagnate, lost in the intangible world where their thoughts are never truly applied. Overcoming this self-doubt stands as the greatest challenge in our personality styles that are likely or we're likely to face. But the intellectual gifts, big and small, bestowed on the world when they do, makes it worth the fight. So, again, I'll admit it, with working on my project, there is a lot of fear of failure. But the thing that helps me get through it is, my motivation unlike most, big third-party companies or whatever, isn't not the money. I'm not in this for the money. If I, made the next Minecraft and it made me a billionaire, fine, fucking great. But whatever. I just want to take ideas from my mind because remember, from way back, up there, up at the top, my mind never fucking stops. Unless I'm asleep, in which case then I still might dream or whatever. But I want to take my ideas and turn those things that I can envision, that I can see in my mind, and that I can understand, and build it in or make it into a real thing that other people can see and witness, or technically a virtual thing, but you know what I'm saying. So let's move on here to strengths and weaknesses. And again, I'm sorry if this video is going to be really long and it's boring you, but I felt this was a really interesting video to, get people to understand why I am the way I am, personality wise, and how, or why I, no, not, I already said that, how I operate. That makes me sound like I'm a fucking robot. I don't know. But anyway, strengths and weaknesses. We are great analysts and abstract thinkers. People with this ability, I can't talk, personality type, view the world as a big complex machine, although to be honest, I've never really thought of the world as a machine. But anyway, and don't pay attention to the funny pictures here. Oh, you can. There's a dog shitting there. What this is basically saying is we're always focused on like what we're doing so much that like we're lost in our own little fantasy world where we're at a debate with ourselves trying to understand things and figure things out and do our research that we don't pay attention to any random crap going around us. There could be a fucking dog behind you taking a shit, you wouldn't notice. There could be someone trying to stab you in the back, you wouldn't notice. We're just like we're focused on something and we're going for it. But anyway, complex machine, and recognize that as with any machine, all parts are interrelated. These personality types excel in analyzing these connections, seeing how seemingly unrelated factors tie in with each other in ways that bewilder most other personality types, which is what I was saying before, where I can say in a video of mine, my way of thinking, my, like how I've arrived at something, and then I've had some people who will message me or comment and be like, I don't get it. I don't, or like, oh, I don't think so. I don't know, man. I don't see your way of thinking. That's why. My way of thinking is just, it bewilders people, but, and I hate to bring in the IGN buffoons, but they're a good example of the people who are like, oh, that guy, he's crazy. It's like, no, I just think logically. I think differently than you. My way of processing things is different. That doesn't mean I'm fucking insane. It means, technically, I'm just, and I don't mean this insulting, it's kind of just the way it is. I'm just, at least, personality-wise, superior to you. I'm sorry if that's harsh, but it's kind of just the way it is. And I mean, unless I'm not saying it's bad to not be this type that I am, because you don't have that much control over your personality. You're born who you are. But let's move on. Imaginative and original. Again, there's that word. Original bloodies. These connections are the product of an unrelenting imagination. That is absolutely me. 100%. Since I was a kid, my imagination, like nobody, none of my friends, no offense to them, could keep up with my imagination. It was literally unrelenting. I came up with the most bizarre, wacky, shenanigan things you could ever come up with. But to me, if you have a good imagination, that's a fucking good thing. But again, these are strengths. So our personality types' ideas may seem counterintuitive at a glance. You'd be like, I think you're kind of wasting your time, and may never even see the light of day. But they will always prove remarkable innovations. So when I read that the first time, I was kind of like, when I heard innovation or read it, I was like, oh great, so I'm like Nintendo. Everyone bashes me for trying different things, and then, some people like it and some don't. But whatever. Open-minded. So, there's a lot of people who said I'm closed-minded or narrow-minded or whatever. And I probably go back and forth. I'm more open-minded on general things in life and more narrow-minded on gaming stuff. But either way, so our personality types couldn't make these connections if they thought they knew it all. Granted, I've said, I know pretty much everything. Well, no, I've said stuff like I'm almost always right. But yeah, there's definitely things I don't know. But either way, we are highly receptive to alternate theories. So as long as they're supported by logic and facts, so basically, let's stop right there. If we're having a conversation, and if you want to bring a theory of your own to the table, that's fine. I'm not going to bash you for having your own opinion, your own theory, but don't bring bullshit facts that have nothing to do with anything and are completely irrelevant and that you made the fuck up. Because that's just going to piss me off and that's going to be wasting my goddamn time. If you have an actual theory you've thought about, you've done the research, you've, you know, have valid points, then we have an actual equal intelligent discussion or debate. So, where was I here? Blah, 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 blah. In more subjective matters like social norms and traditions, my personality types are usually fairly liberal. And when I read that, I was just like, I'm not a fucking liberal, which is like, voting for fucking Trudeau. But I guess there's more than one meaning of liberal, so. Anyway, with a none of my business sort of attitude, people's ideas are what matter. Which, again, I've said before, I have, for most things in life, an I don't give a fuck attitude. That's because it's not my, I wasn't born. My purpose in life is not to, give a shit about everything that there is. That's just not my way of thinking. It's not, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying that's how I am. Simply that. It's just, and it's not saying that I can't care about things. It would have to be something specific that I could, I would see some kind of connection between me and you with. But if it's just some random thing where it's like, someone will be like, I like going hunting. You want to come hunting? I'd just be like, sorry, I don't give a shit about hunting. I mean, I'm not bashing you. Go for it. You have fun. It's just not my thing. I don't care. you know. So, either way, let's move on here. Enthusiastic. When a new idea piques my interest, or their interest, our types can be very enthusiastic. They are a reserved personality type, which anyone who knows me in real life knows that I'm reserved, but if another person shares an interest, whether it's gaming, Batman especially is a big topic, they can be downright excited about it and discussing it. So basically, if I'm in a situation where the people I'm with aren't, you know, we're not talking about something that connects us, something that we have in common, then I'm going to be more reserved and just kind of laid back and I'll just observe the conversation, or go off in la la land and theorize in my own mind. But if we have something in common, then you'll get me excited, then we can have a discussion, and then we'll have a good time. More likely, though, the only outward evidence of this enthusiasm will be that our personality types silent pacing or they're staring into the distance. I don't really pace, but yeah, I've kind of zoned out from time to time when I'm imagining stuff. So, yeah, that's how you'll know. I mean, I don't want to say that if we're staring off into the distance, that's enthusiastic. I mean, technically it is because we're just enthusiastic about what we're thinking in our mind. Otherwise, we really wouldn't be thinking about it. Oh, I need to take a break here, but I don't want to, so let's keep going. Objective. So our type has analysts and creativity and open-mindedness aren't the tools of some quest for ideology or emotional validation. Rather, it's as though people with this personality type are a conduit for the truths around them, which is true. I'm always saying, like, whether you want to hear it or not, it's the fucking truth. It's like that old story, or not story, that old choice. Would you rather tell a friend the truth, but it hurt, it causes them pain or sadness, or would you rather lie to them and they'll feel better? It's like that thing. I'm the type who would, I mean, I might ask them at first. I'd be like, do you want me to, I have bad news for you. Do you want me to just bluntly tell you, or do you want me to kind of cushion the blow for you? Because I'm the type that I'll tell you the fucking truth. It's just who I am. So anyway, so far as they can be expressed, and they are proud of this role as theoretical mediator. Fancy terminology, I know. So honest and straightforward. Again, this is me again. To know one thing and say another would be terribly disingenuous. Our personality types don't often go around intentionally hurting feelings, but they believe that the truth is the most important factor, and they expect that to be appreciated and reciprocated. So there's a good example for me again. I've said it before, where in videos or whatever, I'll be like, Whether it was, oh, this kid on Meverse, you were mean to him, blah, blah, blah. Someone will say that to me. And again, I'm not intentionally hurting people's feelings unless it's the rant videos, in which case I'll be like, this fucking kid, this is why I hate kids, blah, blah, blah. But, just in general, I don't intentionally try to hurt anyone's feelings because I don't really care. And again, if that hurts your feelings, sorry, you're sensitive. But anyway, the key part here is that the truth, for me and my type, the truth is the most important factor. Why do you not want to know the truth? I mean, it could be a horrible truth, but you should still always want to know the truth. You don't want to be like, oh, be the type who's gullible and always believe lies and think that those are the truth, because then your whole fucking life is a fucking lie, an illusion, if you will. But anyway, let's move on. The weaknesses. So, again, these are from my type of personality. Some of these I don't actually necessarily consider a weakness, but let's get into it. Very private and withdrawn. Yes, 100%. I like my privacy. I like to be, on my own and that type of thing. So, while our while our personality types, intellectualism yields many insights into their surroundings are ironically considered an intrusion on their thoughts. This is especially true with people of our personality are quite shy in social settings, which, again, a lot of people are. More complicated situations such as parties, which exacerbate, how do you say this? Exacerbate, yeah, this. Again, but I'm not a party type. I don't party, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, none of that crap. I don't get wasted or any of that shit. But even close friends struggle to get into their hearts and minds. But, I don't know if I 100% believe that. These are more, along the lines. It might be not easy for close friends to, get to, my heart and my mind. But it's not impossible. You can do it. They can do it. So basically, I would say the longer you've been a friend of someone like me, the more you can, I don't want to say like necessarily understand, but, at least realize why my kind of personality people think the way they do, or be able to, like, say I was having some kind of issue. A friend of mine who I've had for, since elementary or junior high or whatever, would know me well enough to know, how I would want to go about fixing it or getting over it or whatever. So, where were we here? Insensitive. Ooh, ooh, that hurts. That hurts. Oftentimes, our personalities get so caught up in their logic that they forget any kind of emotional consideration. Which I guess that's kind of my Canadian side of myself, where again, if you get to know me in real life, for the most part, as long as you don't piss me off, like you don't have a problem with me, I don't have a problem with you, I'm a nice guy, believe it or not. I actually am. But again, it's because I'm Canadian, probably. But anyway, they dismiss subjectivity as irrational and tradition as an attempt to bar much needed progress. Purely emotional situations are often utterly puzzling to our types, and their lack of timely sympathy can easily offend. So, you might have, an emotional situation where you want us to help, but we're the type, again, from before, who would tell you solutions to fix your problem, but you don't want to hear that, and your whole, like, oh, I'm having a breakdown, I'm freaking out, and we would just be like thinking to ourselves, I don't get it. I don't understand why you can't just obviously see that this is a solution, or this is a solution, or even this would fix your problem. So, we aren't the best type to ask for emotional help. If you have a problem that's not emotional related, then we're your guy or girl. But anyway, let's move on. Oh yeah, and then their lack of timely sympathy can easily offend. Again, though, from what it said before, we don't intentionally try to offend people. It's just the way personalities clash. It's not our fault that we don't blend well with emotional things. We don't care for it because we don't focus on it. We don't. It's not that we can't feel things, which says later on that I might read. But either way, let's move on. Absent-minded. When our personality type's interest is captured, their absence goes beyond social matters to include the rest of the physical world. Our personality types become forgetful, missing even the obvious, if it's unrelated to the current infatuation, which again I was talking about before in the picture where we don't pay attention to what's going on around us. They can even forget their own health, skipping meals, sleep, as they muse. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers have stated before that they'll be like, oh, sleep? What's sleep? I don't sleep. And it is true. I mean, technically all humans, all people on the planet have their demons, have sometimes their issues with taking care of themselves. But with our type, uh, you know, it's a little different. I don't think I've really skipped sleep. I mean, I've, at least not intentionally, I've tried to go to sleep where I can't sleep, and then I just get up or whatever. But it's not like I forget to go to bed. It's not like I'm like, oh God, I was going to go to bed an hour ago. It's not like that. Although every once in a while I have completely forgotten about eating when I was like, oh, I'm going to eat a sandwich, and then an hour goes by and I'm like, oh, I was going to get a fucking sandwich. I was just too busy or sucked into a Zelda game or whatever it was I was doing. Um, but anyway, condescending. Ooh, that's another hurtful one. That hurts. But let's get into this. Attempts at connecting with others are often worse than our personality's withdrawal. People with this personality type take pride in their knowledge and rationale and enjoy sharing their ideas. But in trying to explain how they got from A to B to Z, they can get frustrated, sometimes simplifying things to the point of insult as they struggle to gauge their conversation partner's perspective. The ultimate insult comes as us giving you the dismissive, never mind. So basically, we have something that makes fucking perfectly logical sense. You don't understand it. We dumb it down. You still don't understand it. I'm trying to explain it to you. You just keep not being able to get it, and it drives us mad. And so we ultimately end up insulting you, even though we're not trying to, by going, never fucking mind. Here's a definite good one for me. Loathe rules and guidelines. Anyone who knows me knows, I am leaning more towards the whole rule or saying about rules were meant to be broken. So these social struggles are not particularly, partly a product of our desire to bypass the rules of social conduct and otherwise. While this attitude helps our personality type's strength of unconventional creativity, it also causes them to reinvent the wheel consistently or constantly and to shun security in favor of autonomy in ways that can compromise both. So, yeah, it's both a good thing, but it forces us at the same time to, never stop. So it's both a good thing and a bad thing. Second guess themselves. So we will remain, or our types remain so open to new information, which again, I've said this before, every fucking day. I'm catching up on gaming news. I'm, checking out the latest news, whether it's from Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, whatever. But that's just because I have a passion for the industry. But our types are always about, we need more information, then we can make our, what I call my predictions when I say like Metroid for Retro's game and stuff like that. So, I'm the type that does the research. I've said that before. I do my research. But anyway, we remain so open to new information that they often never commit to a decision at all. This applies to their own skills as well. Our personality types know that as they practice, they improve, and any work they do is second best to what they could do. Unable to settle for this, our personality types sometimes delay their output indefinitely with constant revisions, sometimes even quitting before they ever began. Now, the constant revisions, that relates to me. Now, what I'm talking about is with my project. And I'm not giving away any details, but I'm just going to say what the original plan was, it was a loose blueprint type thing, concept. It was definitely open for, modifications and changes and alterations. Has so drastically changed so far, even though it's not a hell of a lot there. What is there is so dramatically different from from day one, what was planned. So, Constant revisions are a thing, and until, like, for example, if you're making a game, my, not advice, but something I would say that's probably quite common is don't expect a game to be finalized until it's done. It sounds stupid, but it kind of makes sense when you look at so many games these days where, like, if it gets revealed at E3 and comes out a year or two later, and then it's like, wait, this looked better before. Exactly. So many changes happens across the development time, you know? So never say, I mean, with Nintendo, they usually never go backwards, so what you see is usually it's going to be either just that or better by the time it comes out. But either way, for me, constant revisions where I'll be like, I'll have an idea for, say, I don't know, a weapon or an item, and I'll be like, yeah, yeah, that seems pretty good. That seems good. And then, a little while later, whether it's a day, a week, a month, whatever, I'll be like, dude, I just fucking thought of a much better idea. Completely scrap it, redo it, and then change it up completely. Or even just maybe modify the original version or whatever. But point is, constant revisions. Now, I need to rest my breath here for a bit. I've talked so much today. So, I'm going to do these types of videos in sections. Like, maybe it'll be uh, a three-parter or something, because I don't want this to be like an hour-long video. So, uh, I'll upload the other two parts or whatever after this, of course. So again, I hope you enjoy this. It's not meant to be an entertaining video. It's some kids are gonna be like, it's educational, and everyone finds that boring. I'm sorry, but it's my channel. I'll do the videos I want to fucking do. So I just wanted to do these again. Remember, to help not only my OBA army, my fans, my supporters, my friends, whoever, but the people out there who don't even, my haters. That's right, I'm throwing you a bone here. I'm offering you a free pass to, understand my personality, why I am the way I am, how I think, so forth and so on. So that'll do it for part one. Um, Again, I hope you at least watch this video, at least part one. And if you're really intrigued and interested, then check out part two and three later when I upload those. But yeah, again, remember, this wasn't meant to be entertaining. It was just to try and help bridge the gap for people who don't, get where I'm coming from and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.